Christmas look.
Thanks, we had a sweater day at school today.
Okay.
I'm exhausted and so cold. just because Mary. All right. Hello, guys. Welcome to tonight's City Community Development and Recreation Committee. We have a long agenda, but it's mostly filled with new things, so that's kind of exciting. We're kind of wrapping up a couple of our bigger projects. The Tree City USA Board, Miss Orb is kind of taking a bit of lead on that. Her and Mimi Anderson have got all of that submitted, and now we're just waiting to hear if we got accepted. So that's pretty exciting. I followed through, claps for me, with Mr. Dieters today, and we will probably be meeting next week. I don't work, so we'll probably be needing next week sometime to finalize all that stuff for the Homeowners Assistance Fund and get that wrapped up, so that way we can get that all done. I'm going to skip over you for 1 second, Mr. Mosby, and just tell them that Miss Nichols will not be here tonight. She is ill, but she did send me a little update. She has her 2 people selected for the Recreation Commission, and she is waiting for Mr. Blaylock's 2 people, and after that we can get that commission going, and we are really rocking and rolling in this committee, so I'm excited. And then I'm going to hand it back to Mr. Mosby. He is going to give us a comprehension plan update.
Excuse me, hopefully you all don't mind if I
You're
pick
good.
it up. I'm at least 20 feet away from you, so I should be okay. We had our, we had our first kind of kickoff meeting for the comprehensive plan last week. And I do think that it was a very productive meeting. I have already received feedback from Urban Fast Forward. However, I am talking to the mayor, who was not able to be at that first meeting. So I'm speaking with her about as we approach the next steps. But the one thing I have appreciated about them is that they sat and listened to some of the feedback that we did give them regarding our community. And the other thing was that they are certainly anxious to get started because they do want to have their first stakeholder meeting in January, which is very good. So so we should have, I should definitely have an update for you in January. But right now it's very positive. We have a lot of experience on that Urban Fast Forward team, so I am absolutely looking forward to this. And again, I do want to, if I just could, of course, this all happened because of council's wish and desire to have the plan started. But I would also be remiss, if I did not once again commend Mr. Christopher Mokas, who is a student at NKU. And as a graduate student, he came in, and part of his project was to help put together that RFP, which he did a brilliant job in putting that together. And so I really would like to commend Mr. Mokas for the work that he did in helping us get to this point.
All right. Yeah, thank you. And also Amber Bailey, too. She was the one who kind of planted this seed and then handed it off to us, so thank you to her. All right. If nobody has any questions about the old business, I'm going to push forward to the new business. I'll give Ms. Underwood a second to catch up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We've just been talking about updates, nothing exciting. So Mr. Mosby and I were able to meet last week and kind of brainstorm, not really brainstorm, but just kind of talk about where we wanted this committee to be going. And through that, I kind of came up with our next 4 kind of things that we need to start working on coming into this new year. I'm just kind of say the overview of them really quickly. So the recreation program, now that we have money for it, I think it would be really important if we start focusing on the recreation program development, beautification as well. A lot of things that have already kind of been discussed or that were already in the works, but just kind of putting them into a list there. Also, something that I know some business owners on Galbraith have discussed concerns about is their business during the construction of Galbraith. So possibly partnering with the Chamber of Commerce and CIC for promotion material during the Hamilton construction for Hamilton, yeah. For those businesses who are there and who have also expressed concerns. And then lastly, the endorsement of the North College Hill CIC as a preferred housing development possible resolution. It's been brought to my attention that would make things much smoother for North College Hill and with the CIC, and I think that would be really great to show our endorsement as well for the CIC. But going back up to the top, so the recreation program development, I know something that's been discussed for a while is youth recreation teams. And I was kind of bouncing around some ideas, but I didn't know if you guys had any ideas at all of possibly either partnering with like the school to use their facilities, or maybe partnering with Clovernook Center for the Blind to use the facilities that are on their land and cleaning up those and continuing to use those, or asking the Flock, which is that giant gym area over there, to use their facilities. So any ideas, any thoughts, any preferences?
Could you please expand on the blind home? You talked about using their facility.
So, yeah, because they own all of the land behind them, right?
Correct.
So, like North Creek Fields. Actually, I was not planning on doing this. My dad and I my whole family and I live in that neighborhood behind Kruger. So we went on a walk the other day, and I was just curious, so we went walking down there. There is so much land and a lot of really good bones. And I mean, you can see where it's already been used, and a lot of times you could see where there were plans of something else being done, but it just never really got done. Like there's like a part of a walking trail back there through the woods that is just a bit overgrown, and like, I mean, obviously the baseball and the soccer field. So I don't know if that's something that
I'm going to use the word abandoned for.
Oh,
what do
it's
you think,
abandoned
Ron, 3 or 4
sure.
years or more.
Yeah.
We had a contract with them where we leased that land from them,
Yeah,
and it became too costly.
right. But I mean, now that we have money in the budget for it, I mean, if we could possibly get a new deal with them.
New contract, but then once that money runs out, how are we going to pay for it? We're only talking maybe 2 years that we would have money to spend like that.
Right. I mean, yeah, Mary Jo just said in the background, buy it. But I mean, we could also look at, because right now we do have more money than we will have next year or the year after. But you think you spend the surplus of money that we have on fixing it up, or coming up with a deal with the Center for the Blind to fix it up, and then it will not cost as much in 2 years after it's all fixed up, because we won't be, spending as much money on it then. And on top of that, it's going to be a profit-making system, whatever this is. So you're going to be getting money from
Can
that.
I ask how it would be profit-making?
I mean, if it's a youth recreation team, don't usually families have to pay like $30 a season or something?
But those fees normally just pay for that particular field, that soccer team or the baseball team.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And if we've got that kind of money to spend, I mean, you're talking about rehabbing and refurbishing everything. We need to put work into our buildings, into the standing buildings that we work in every day. So I think if we've got that kind of money, we should invest it in something that's going to stay with us for a long, long time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I mean, I know your eagerness and desire to want to do the recreation.
Well, but if the money's in the recreation line items,
I'm sorry, what?
if the money is in the recreation line items, then it would be spent. But either way, I mean, that's just one idea. We don't have to go with that. I mean, we could also see if possibly the Flock would want to partner with us and host a recreation team there, or if the school would be willing to host a recreation team there. I mean, that's one of 3 ideas. We don't have to focus on that
I
one.
mean,
if
I
it's
would
not
love
realistic.
to youth recreation programs here in North Collegiale, because we used to be rampant with programs for children, but throughout the years, parents just weren't, I don't know how to say this kindly, but parents just weren't being parents. You know, if you could send your kid and walk away, that's what they wanted. But having these programs requires parental participation. Thank you. And that's where we lack. And I think anybody would say that. We know that for a fact. It's not just here, it's everywhere, because parents are working and working and working just to keep their families afloat. So I'm just saying, if we've got that kind of money, I think I would like to see it invested in some of the buildings.
I think you'd want to reach out to Superintendent Blaylock. I mean, you know, kind of listening to both of you, I think financially, I think Ms. DeWald makes a lot of good points, but certainly I know we always have a goal of trying to provide recreation for kids. I mean, we've got the splash park coming in, hopefully, in a matter of time. But, the other thing to really note, too, with recreation involving children, Ms. DeWald also makes a point that parents have to be involved sometimes just for safety alone. And, we do have a lot of people here that have 2 jobs. We have a lot of nurses and nursing home care workers here. I see a lot of scrubs in the neighborhoods, right? People who
Right.
work 2nd shifts and 3rd shifts, which can be really tough.
Exactly.
The reason I'd reach out to the school, though, is because, they already have an infrastructure in place of adults who have background checks and stuff like that. I mean, that's like another issue, too, is anytime you're dealing with childhood recreation, is to make sure that the people that are doing it are the right people. And it can always be deceptively simple, because there's always that
Right.
added expense of doing that. As you know, I mean, you work in a school,
Well, I mean, and we don't even have to make it, a big program with multiple sports right away. I mean, we do like a summer soccer program or a summer basketball program, and, in partnership with the Flock this summer, and kind of take more of baby steps. Because, yeah, you're right. I mean, parent participation, trust me, I get it. It's just not there. But, I don't think that that's a reason why we should just throw in the towel and say, nope, we're not going to do it.
I might be reaching really far, but is the people, the Urban Fast Forward, would they be able to do some type of survey with the parents while they're having meetings to see what type of sports are even
Yeah. Or of
desired?
interest, right.
Yeah. I mean, because
That's a good
kind of
point.
like what Mary said, there used to be a knothole, there used to be, say, soccer,
Oh, I
there
get
used to
it,
be
yeah.
football. And I thought,
Swimming.
and I could be wrong, but some of that, I think, dissolved because of a lack of participation from the kids, too.
Right.
So if there's not a desire to play any of those sports, then maybe we shouldn't be investing money in those sports that there isn't a real interest in.
Well, and now that you're saying that, I think too, I remember that there were a few kids from NCH, I think somebody who's very close to one of our council members did a golf thing over the summer at Clovernook. So, we could even ask Clovernook and say, hey, over the summer, would you be willing to do like a lower cost thing for the community? And, so, yeah, that could also be on the list of options, golf, soccer, whatever. But I think we just shouldn't throw in the towel this easily, guys. There are lots of options. Let's be a little more hopeful than that.
Yeah, I just think we need to do a little more research
Yeah.
before we throw money at it.
I agree.
Ms. Anderson?
Yeah.
our age difference. So I've been down that road, and I've seen it full functioning, and then I've seen it gradually go to what we have.
Oh yeah, I played
And
on
it
the
is
teams that were full
heartbreaking.
functioning. They were awesome.
I just hope that we don't spend too much time, because other people have tried this outside of us,
Mm-hmm.
and they just can't get the cooperation.
Right.
So,
Well, maybe we do it differently than how they've been doing it.
Miss
Maybe
Anderson.
instead of doing a full, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm listening.
No, I was just gonna say maybe instead of doing like a full out like year long, soccer thing with the, you just kind of do a camp over the summer sort of thing and see where the involvement is, and then if it grows from there, it grows from there. But I think just giving it maybe a different approach, because yeah, we're right. There's no family in North College Hill that doesn't have multiple parents working multiple jobs. Not a single family is not, working their bottoms off. So
right.
I think that it's important to recognize that and then form this around that instead of trying to form them into what we want. Sorry, go ahead.
Agreed. I think this around them is going to be our pathway of success, because there's a couple of things that change the dynamic, not just family dynamics, but like, I know it's a different term with each sport, but just the one that I recognize is AAU. That pulled AAU soccer, that flattened say soccer. It wasn't the lack of interest with the kids, because my neighbor used to coach. My kids all played say soccer, but then AAU soccer came on the scene, and that killed those kinds of programs. So those are external factors that we're not considering. I agree that we need to, even though it's difficult, people have done it in the past, we still need to do something because our community needs something, and this is a part of the evolvement of what we need, where we need to go. So maybe we don't put so much dollars behind it and try to source and sense what will work, but we can't not do anything because we don't think anything is going to work. So we have to figure out what is going to work for our community.
Don't we have
Madam Chair,
baseball and soccer still? I mean, it wasn't that long ago my son was doing it.
Yeah, I mean, because I did it on North Creek fields.
Like Northern Hills is the baseball league. I mean, my son did that just several years ago, and that
Right.
was, it's not just North College Hill. I mean, some of the games were in College Hill on North Bend over by that Happy's Pizza, and that was just several years ago.
Yeah,
And
I mean, the
soccer
Bones
league
are-
was
yeah.
up here, but then we stopped having that field, and it was in the Mount Healthy field where their little amphitheater is.
I mean, the bones are there for the program. All we have to do is now figure out how can we change the program to better fit our people than, Sorry, go ahead, Marie.
Ms. Dukestein, what does AAU stand for? You lost me.
It's just a type of soccer program.
It's a
saying-
youth soccer program.
No, it's like NFL, but for little kids.
So the
It's just like-
AAU doesn't stand for any words?
I mean, it might, but it really doesn't
I
matter.
think it's American Athletic Union.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I was just curious.
And parents, by the way, I'm sorry, Miss Anderson.
No, go ahead.
Parents, by the way, pay an astronomical amount of money to be a part of that,
yeah.
and they go and they're involved, and it's a whole community.
Yeah.
So I would say that, I mean, I know plenty of North College Hill families, two parents, one parent, whatever, they break the bread on what they want to, because when my
Right.
son plays basketball for North College Hill Middle School, and you have to sign a waiver that you will not participate in those outside programs in addition to your school sport. And that, a lot of kids' parents were upset because they had already committed. So I'm saying that the resources are there when they want them to be. What made those programs very popular is because they are highly competitive.
Yes. Yeah.
And they give exposure to kids. So,
Right. Yeah, my brother-in-law he does a lot for different soccer teams, and he's a big man at Colby and all that stuff. I hear about it, but it all just goes in one ear and out the other. But I do know what you mean. Yeah. All right. Well, I like that we got the discussion rolling on that. Mr. Mosby, would you mind talking with the comprehension plan team and seeing if there can be a type of survey or questionnaire for the families as to what sports they would like, what kind of program they would like to see, when in the day, what time of year, all that kind of jazz. Would that be possible? Awesome. Does everybody sound good as our next step? Awesome. I see head rolls, or head shakes, not head rolls. The next thing, I am afraid I will hurt some people's feelings, but that's okay. Matt, your mural is beautiful, but I think it needs a bit of an update. Would you be okay with us painting a giant bottle of ranch dressing right over where that is?
I would.
Good, thank you.
It's not a joke.
Not really ranch dressing, but just possibly touching that up, getting
I'd
a
take
new something
ketchup.
in there. Ketchup, something like that, yeah.
I don't really care.
Okay. I didn't want to do it without your permission, but
I mean, it's the property owner's permission you need.
yeah.
I mean, they covered up a large part of it anyway.
They sure did.
Oh, did they really?
So,
Which
Um,
mural are you talking about?
one by you.
Oh, the one by, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize it was missing something. Okay.
I didn't either.
Had a banner over it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you guys remember, a couple meetings ago, I think it was a finance meeting. We were talking about the inactive funds accounts, and there was one for art. And I said, what's that for? And then Mr. Mosby said, a while ago, there was a money set aside for arts programs in the city. And then I was talking with Mary Jo a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying, oh, I think that would be really smart to use that money because it's just sitting there. And then we started talking about murals, and then I was thinking, oh my goodness, well, what if we use that money to possibly commission an artist to paint a mural? Here's why I say artist. I think that community volunteers are wonderful and they're awesome, but I think that we also have a large resource of artists and up-and-coming artists and different levels in Cincinnati and in North College Hill, especially with things like the Cincinnati Artworks. I think that would be kind of silly if we passed up doing that while we have the money for it, and especially since we already have, I mean, it's a small chunk of funds. I think it's like $90, but that'll pay for supplies, and then, you get a really nice artist to come and,
It's not really how it works. I've done stuff with artworks before. It's a little bit more entailed than that, just to warn you. It's a lot more entailed than that.
okay.
They require like basic contracts with property owners where they agree to not disturb it for like 30 years or something. I mean, it's a lot more than that. They usually want some skin in the game with more money than just $90.
Right.
They gotta be satisfied that the building's kind of what they want. Like, I don't think they'd use that building that you're pointing out where my mural
Gotcha.
is for starters.
Do you
I
think-
actually had talked to Artworks years ago about places in North College Hill. There's not really, it's questionable whether or not we have the right facade and where we have it, because they only want to use buildings that usually have high visibility. They have to be large enough. They have to be in a traffic area. You have to have the actual property owner being willing to enter into a contract that'll actually run with the land, because they're not going to do those types of murals
Right.
if they're going to get painted over in 5-6 years. And I was doing murals, I was doing with the high school art teacher, and we were using kids to paint those. And a lot of those, we didn't have those contracts, and so this building sold, and some of those property owners painted right over them without even asking. They were gone, right? So Artworks establishes a firm contract that gets attached. I think it even gets filed in the records office that attaches to that land to keep that from happening. So there's a lot of things, a lot more that goes into that. I mean,
If you'd like, maybe we could set up a meeting with somebody from Artworks and sit down and talk to them.
Right. Because even if we don't want to partner with them, just finding out the logistics that go into mural doing, or even getting in contact with some names.
I went to school with some of their artists,
What?
So I'm not shooting in the dark here. I actually went to school with
Oh,
with
no,
a
I
number of
totally,
the artists
I
that
totally
paint
believe
those,
you, but I don't think that.
and the
that-
people that have run it over the years. So, I mean, I certainly could set up a meeting, but, I mean, I certainly wouldn't choose that building to do it.
Okay, well, we don't have to. I mean, I was just.
I would think of something that has a lot more visibility and is a bit bigger.
Maybe the
Trying to
building
think
next
what
to
that
a
would be.
cemetery?
Yeah.
Which
That's
Side of
one.
the building next to the cemetery, what does that look like? Is that just brick?
Yeah.
You know, the
Or,
school might
or
be an
next
option, quite
to-
frankly.
or what's the side of Subway?
Yeah.
By Shell?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there are a lot of areas to do it. And I mean, so either way, okay,
Depends
so
on how
let's
big
say
they
we
want it, I
don't
think.
partner with Artworks. We have $90 set aside to do something with art. That's so silly for us to just keep, I mean, I know it's only $90, but to just keep sitting there and being like,
Even if we just
Oh,
took
well.
paint and painted NCH on the side of a building,
right.
we could do that with Matt's help outlining.
I would say no, we
I don't
what?
think he wants to help us at this point. He kind of
No,
sounds
we
kind of
not.
grumpy.
I am not artistic at all.
No.
I can't draw a straight line with a ruler.
So here's what I'm thinking. I think even if we don't end up partnering with Artworks, I think that it would be a good idea for somebody from administration to possibly reach out and at least get information about it. Because I think if we have that resource in the greater Cincinnati area, why would we not, talk to them and at least get some names and some direction?
I would try to figure out a building and talk to a building owner first
Okay.
before you waste Artworks' time, because, I mean, you have to have someone that's interested to have their building painted
Right.
on in that manner.
That's a good point.
So I don't think we waste anybody's time unless we know, number one, here's a few building options. You talk to those building owners and
Right.
they understand what they would be agreeing to before we hit up Artworks. Because the last time I helped set one up, it was for Pro Kids, and it was a large mural down, I can't remember if that's on Calhoun or is it one of the McMillan, one of those two. I think it's Calhoun, actually. But you know what I'm talking about? It's the large retention wall. And it's actually owned by Cincinnati Public Schools, and there's all these things. And
Oh, I
helped-
know what you're talking about, yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool. There was a mural there, and it was falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, that wall had a lot of cracks from water running into it, so they actually had to do some construction and actually spend a little bit of money to deal with that retention wall. So it was a pretty big project, but nonetheless, they have pretty strict standards, and they almost put one on my former boss's building too downtown, and I remember what he was going through when he was talking to them about that. So
then do we want to ask administration instead then to talk to a couple of different building owners and see if they would be interested in having a mural there?
yeah, I think you got to pick a building, and I think
Okay.
you got to pick the right one. I certainly could think about that. I mean, the building that you're talking about on the corner of Hamilton and Galbraith, I'd
On
have
the north
concerns about that in a
side.
sense that how stable is the ownership of that building? It's not in the best shape currently.
Right.
So that's kind of an issue. I mean, I think you want to find a building that, number one, is large, has a good facade and a traffic area. Like the bakery building, for instance, it's tall, but the other problem is it's siding. It'd be really difficult to paint a mural on that because of the nature of the siding of the building. So you have to look at the surface itself.
Would you have time this month to come up with maybe like a suggestion or two of
Yeah, by
buildings?
next meeting, I could really think about it.
Okay.
I mean, one obvious thing to me is I wonder if the school's interested in it.
I just can't
um,
even think of a facade where the school building is that.
But can we as the city pay for a mural on a school building?
Well, the question is whether or not we'd have to pay for what we'd have to pay. I mean, the one thing I can tell you this is $90 doesn't even buy the brushes. And I don't know how much, that Artworks currently does, but at one point in time, I think I remember hearing like a $10,000 price tag that some of these building owners were paying for
Oh, yeah,
Artworks
I
to
mean,
that
we do
stuff.
not have to partner with Artworks.
$90 wouldn't even cover the paint of the murals I did. They cost much more.
Exactly.
So, because you got to buy really high quality, like,
Right.
enamel latex paints, like outdoors, like very high quality
Right.
stuff, not the things that you would normally you know, paint a retention wall blue or something like that. So
I mean, I didn't think we could do the whole thing for
it's
90
it's complex, but I think the first thing you do is you just want to think of a few properties, and then you'd want to contact those owners and see if they'd have any interest in that, and kind of explain to them like what that would entail. That they'd have to understand that, like, dude, if you do this, you're stuck with this, right?
Right.
That's a big investment, and you'd be surprised how many people don't want to be stuck with a painting on their wall.
Right.
Do they get some say-so as to the content then?
What's that?
Does the building owner get say-so of the content?
Not entirely, but kind of, right? I mean, you know, the one thing Artworks does is they're, obviously, when you look at all their paintings around town, they don't do anything controversial, right? You know, I mean, typically speaking, they, you know, what they normally do, and this isn't always the case, but generally speaking, they hire an artist, they get the wall, they get everything set up, and then the artist goes out to that community if it's not like downtown. And they look at the community and sometimes think of something that might be representative of the community. That's one possibility the artists have done. Other times when it's downtown, it's just thematic stuff. So Jennifer Ustick is like one of my best friends from grad school. She's done a number of them. She's done the James Brown one, you know, the one I'm talking about on Central Parkway. I mean, I could talk to her. She's still doing them. I think she did one last summer. I can't remember which one she did last summer. And see, you know, if the process has changed at all. Maybe they've got more money now. They ask for less from building owners. But I'm sure that they still ask for a solid commitment, because you're not going to build scaffolding and have
Right.
that many teenagers spend an entire summer and professional artists do all that stuff. So, you know, that's, you know, I can certainly reach out to her anytime and just say, hey, what's the process? Has it changed at all in the last several years?
Yeah.
Just to make sure it hasn't. And then I can drive around, just think of a couple properties in our immediate area and just say, okay, which ones would maybe make sense? And then
That'd be great.
it would be a matter of reaching out to those property owners and just see if any of them have any interest in it.
That sounds awesome.
They may
Thank
or
you.
may not. You know, Buddy Rogers might, is the one I could think of.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Scally's might. That's one I could think of, because Scally's has that,
Yeah, they do.
Old World Bakery has a humongous brick wall. It's in the front. It's large, right?
Yeah.
And they've been there a long time. It's a stable building. It's not exactly like they've decored it up. It's just a very
Right.
plain brick building, but they
Right.
obviously maintain their business in, and they presumably will for a
Right.
time. So that's a building that might be a really cool place. So I mean, I can think of some off the top of my head, but I think that kind of size and stability is probably more what we're looking for than
Yeah.
than maybe that pharmacy or that corner building on Hamilton and Galbraith.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll put that on next month's agenda to check back with you if you want to start looking at that. All right, the next thing, beautification. So there are a few ideas under here, and none of it's permanent. It's just thrown out ideas. So I was thinking, I went to the tree lighting ceremony, and I think that it is so kind of Mickey from Perkins to let us use that tree and to let us use that land. I think that's really great. But I do think that there could be a more central location and possibly a more intimate location with Perkins being right next to the highway entrance and exit and so close to the street. I think that it's kind of a bit, it's not as ideal as we'd want it to be. Now, with our Trees at USA board coming up, I thought that it would be a really good time to maybe propose planting a pine tree somewhere else in North College Hill where we would like to have it in, like, let's say 2 years when the tree gets bigger and is, stable. And then probably not next Christmas, but probably the Christmas after that, we could probably have a different location for the tree lighting ceremony. So I didn't know if any of you guys, I have ideas for where we could plant it, but I wanted to hear your guys' ideas before I shared mine of where we would plant a purposeful tree as the North College Hill tree, Christmas tree for the lighting.
Are you thinking city property, like
Yes.
like City Hall or here?
So, yeah, I mean, I was thinking, my idea was to plant it outside of the safety building. Because I think that's like very in the middle. It's right by a lot of restaurants. It's right by a lot of little shops. So we could even make it like a whole event sort of thing if you wanted to do and encourage people to go shopping before and after, or, you know, encourage them to go to a Skyline or Italianette, or, you know, drive back up to Perkins. Or the other location that kind of goes along with the next item, the purchase of the land at Galbraith and Goodman, that big chunk of land right next to UDF. I know that the city's been looking at that land for a little bit and possibly purchasing it and putting like a park or like an amphitheater or a tree park or something there. So that might be a space if they end up buying that space.
Galbraith and Goodman?
Galbraith and Goodman right by UDF.
Hamilton and
Oh, Hamilton. and Good- I'm like, those
Hamilton.
two
I
roads
put
there.
Galbraith and I meant
Right.
Hamilton. I'm sorry. Hamilton and UDF. Hamilton and
Yeah.
Goodman, yeah.
Well, I think City Hall's fine, then you got the fire truck to put the star on top.
Oh, that's sweet.
You don't need
I
the
like that.
abominable snowman that way. But, yeah, I mean, I think that might make a little bit more sense.
Yeah. Plus, I think there's parking over there. I don't really know how much parking there is on Hamilton and Goodman.
I think if you're talking about Hamilton and Goodman, it'd be a shame, even if we purchased it, to get in the way of any development on that property with the tree, right? I mean, I think if you want to put it somewhere that,
Right.
because you're talking about right across the street where the sunflowers were planted.
No, I'm talking about where the sunflowers are planted.
You're talking, I know, that's what I mean. You're talking
Oh.
about where the sunflowers are
Yes,
planted. I mean, I wouldn't
yes.
want to like obstruct that property from someone maybe buying that and building something there, right?
Oh, yeah.
With a
I guess.
tree.
As I know that, so here's why I am going to stick a fork in your idea, because UDF won't sell that land because they don't want anybody else to develop there, because they don't want a rival gas company to develop on that land. So they're holding on to that land. They won't sell it.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
I thought they
So-
wanted to expand on that.
So
land.
so that was their original idea. This is all from what I understand. I mean, I could be completely wrong on some stuff, so stop me if I'm wrong. But from my understanding, they bought that land to try to build one of those really fancy Nancy UDFs. It wouldn't fit on that land, so they decided that, well, we're just going to keep the land so that way nobody else who has a gas station or convenience store will develop on that land, and that way we don't have any competition. So that's why I think it would be a better idea for us to purchase that land, since they're not going to sell it and they're just going to keep holding on to it. We buy it from them with the agreement that, you know, possibly, oh, it's going to be a tree park, and we'll put a little sponsored by UDF plaque there, and then, you know, once they buy their ice cream, they can come across and sit there and eat their ice cream. I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Graders in Hyde Park, but they have like a little outdoor tree park right outside of it. But did you have something you add?
That,
These,
the Hyde Park big piece
Yeah.
that they go over, and it just is a good community feel. And like, if you look around our neighboring communities, they all kind of have this ice cream parlor. Most of them are mom and pop ones, but that idea, it works, you know, to put ice cream and park sort of facilities. I like the idea of like the outside concert with a tree and using it as community property. I mean, I think Mr. Novak is right with the not wanting to impede development, but we can bring other resources to our community in a very different way.
right.
And it has lots and lots of visibility.
Yeah.
So
So, I mean, we can just ask Mr. Mosby to look into the purchase of that, even see what UDF would even be willing to do, if we would have enough money in next year's budget to do that. Do we want to ask administration to do that, or do we want to think about it some more and then?
personally want to think about it some more. I mean, I don't know that I want to purchase it. I mean, maybe they'll donate it, I don't know, but
Right.
I mean, if they're just holding on to it and they're expending money on property tax and maintenance, just so no competitor moves in, I mean, maybe they'd be willing to donate it or something, but, yeah, I don't know.
Or
'Cause
sell it back for what they bought it for,
Right.
Yeah,
which
you
was, I
bring
think,
back,
$1.
the problem with buying property is the continued expense of getting property. And, you know, like this building is probably a great example. I mean, I know it's much more extreme than just like an empty parcel, but at the same point in time, it's like that old saying, if you want to go broke, take a free boat. You know, I mean, there's a certain point in time where it's just like, well, if we take that property, then we have to maintain it. You know, our public works guys that are already overstretched are gonna have to cut the grass,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's just, it's easy to say if we can grab this property cheap, all these great things will happen, but, you know, at the end of the day, another resource is also another expense. It's also something more to maintain. And you gotta really do a cost-benefit analysis on that. And, you know, I'm sorry to play devil's advocate, but I think of our 4 guys or whatever that are our public works crew that are already overstretched and have a hard time maintaining our islands on Hamilton
Right.
Avenue, are somehow gonna maintain a tree park on Hamilton Avenue when they can't even maintain, and it's no disparagement on them, they're just out undermanned and outgunned, you know,
Right.
by the grass they have to cut. We're essentially taking on a new lot saying you gotta maintain a tree park.
Right.
It's pretty rough, man. I think, you know, without talking to Public Works and stuff like that, I mean, we shouldn't be writing checks that their bodies can't cash.
Well, no, I mean, we're not. That's
You
what we're
know?
doing right now is we're just discussing it.
I
mean,
know, but I'm
nobody's
just
writing
I'm
a
throwing
check.
it out
Yeah.
there. It's like things we need to be discussing, because great ideas are great, but realities are also, they suck, man. Reality's something. I'm not supposed to say this in a public meeting, but we all know the saying of what reality can be. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, but I
Yeah.
don't think that, I mean, I'm aware there's gonna be, you know, hard
It's a
things
beat.
to do with any of this stuff,
Reality's a
but I don't
beat.
think that means that we should just like up and throw it out and say, oh, that's gonna be too hard. We'll just go to the next thing. I don't know. I think that it's still worth looking at. I still think it's worth talking about. I mean, we can sit on it for another meeting, and then at the next meeting, possibly, unless something else comes about, ask administration to just talk to UDF and see if they even have a plan for it, because maybe they have a plan for it and we have no idea. So,
Well, and until administration talks to UEF, we don't even know if it's something we should even talk
Right.
about. So if it's not even an option, then we
right.
can just move on down the road.
That's what I'm thinking. I
Yep.
think we should just ask administration, at least talk to UDF, see what they're planning on doing with the land, see what they're planning on, if they would ever want to sell it, if they would possibly ever want to sell it in the made-up world, how much would they possibly sell it for, that kind of stuff. I mean, it doesn't have to be like this formal sit-down, let's sign a contract meeting. Just ask administration to reach out to UDF, get a feeler. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Would you mind doing that, Mr. Mosby? We would appreciate it. Thank you. All right. I think we have time for like one more thing, and I want to actually move down to C, if you guys don't mind, just because I know we'll come back to the beautification stuff anyway. So possibly partnering with the Chamber of Commerce and CIC for promotion material during the Hamilton construction. So I know that some of the business owners are kind of concerned that with the construction there, even though of course there have to be detour, you know, lanes and all that jazz, it's still going to cause a lot of traffic, and people are probably not going to be as likely to pull into their businesses, you know, out of the blue, because they don't want to have to go through that traffic. So I was thinking it would probably be a nice idea if we plan something now to do for those businesses, or to help out those businesses, so that way, you know, we're not scrambling in a few months when the construction does start and we're like, oh, we had no idea this is coming, because we know it's going to come. So my ideas, I just wrote them down there, but I mean, I would love to hear your guys' too. Possibly having something in the mayor's newsletter about it, because I know that Mayor Nichols has been working on getting that newsletter out, and since she has that designated money in the next year's budget for that, hopefully that'll especially start coming in January. Possibly like a banner like what they did for COVID for the takeout stuff. I know that that was the Chamber of Commerce who did that, so possibly asking them to do something similar for the businesses on Hamilton. Or I don't know exactly how this would work, but maybe even doing like a discount deal or something, like maybe like a punch card. Oh, if you stop at these 3 businesses on Hamilton, you get a free 1 scoop from UDF or something. I don't know. Any ideas?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think it's been a while. It may be 6 or 8 years ago. North College Hill did send out postcards, and certain days of the weeks you could go to certain restaurants and get a discount, but it came in the mail in the form of like a postcard. And then I think if I recall,
Talk into your mic.
Oh, yeah, it was via postcard, and I'm trying to remember if some of the discounts came in the school newsletter, too. Well,
I don't remember it.
there were times
Must have
when
been
you
through
could
the
go.
school because I
there
don't
were
remember
times
that.
I don't
Yeah, I
remember
don't
that.
either.
I remember it, but there were times that you could go to Perkins or something on a certain day, and then they would donate to a charity or
Yeah, they
something.
still have that.
That's
Yeah.
called Dine to Donate.
Dine to donate.
They still
yeah.
have it. They have it as
But
Skyline
I
at
did
Perkins.
run across it. It's been a while, like 6 or 8 years ago, where it was like a Monday through Thursday thing, and if you went to a certain business, on that day you could get a discount, and it had to be in a postcard form because it wasn't in an email. So
Yeah, I'm gonna guess it was sent
But I-
through school because I don't
I
remember.
guess
That-
it might have been when Brooks was mayor. Maybe I think that's when it was.
That's an excellent idea,
to get
to do
people
that postcard thing if you go to these 3 businesses. Or if you go to this business on this night,
Day,
you'll get a 10% discount on
Yeah.
your food minus the drinks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you don't want somebody going in there buying everybody a pop and wanting a discount,
Right.
on food items
Yeah.
only or something
So
like
maybe
that.
we can even like reach out to the businesses on Hamilton and say, hey, we want to plan something for when this construction comes. What's something that would be easiest for you? Because they might even already have something going that they're just like, oh yeah, you can put this into that, and and then possibly also reaching out to the Chamber of Commerce and CIC to see if they would be willing to do anything, as I know that they're very involved. I know that Pat is
I'm
always
sorry,
willing
help
to
me
out.
understand how this would work. So
Yeah.
you're saying that we're going to have a card. I'm just going to make up stuff. We're going to have a card, and if you go to, we'll say Perkins and Kroger and the Hair Palace, I don't know where else you would go. If you go to one of those three places and get your little card punched, and then the city would foot the bill for the ice cream over
Yeah,
at
I don't know.
UDF?
I guess that's
That
what
is-
we'd have to talk about.
Okay.
I don't know.
I didn't know where that was going.
Right.
I heard you say that, but I didn't understand the funding behind it.
Right. I have no idea.
I thought this was more of an encouragement that during construction, and it's hard to get around, you might be more apt to visit this business on Hamilton if the business offered you a discount.
Yeah, we're
Because-
talking about two. So you're talking about, I mean, yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, those are just 2 different approaches. So we could
Okay.
go with the approach of, hey, if you go here, you'll get this free thing. Or you could go with the approach of, you could go anywhere you want and you'll get a discount for that specific place.
Yeah,
It just kind of
that's what
depends on how we want to go about it. And I think more importantly, it depends of how the businesses feel most beneficial for us to go about it. Because I mean,
And
that's
Ms.
what we're
Anderson?
doing it for, is for
Would be the
them.
business offering the discount because of the detour, and maybe for that 5 or 10%, you might make
Be
an
more, or
effort
even if you
to
just even
go visit
see,
Perkins,
right,
yeah,
even
or
if you
whoever's
just see a
blocked off.
designated ad for it of like, hey, they're going to be under construction, so if you could give them some extra love. Missy, you wanted to do something?
On that, visiting the businesses for a discount, it's probably unfair to ask for a discount on the first visit, but there have been some programs where you could visit a program, a business for let's say 3 times.
Right.
So you have to get your card punched the first 2, and on the 3rd time, then you would get like a 10% discount.
Right.
That's like a
No?
Loyalty program, yep.
I mean,
Right,
the
yeah.
businesses have to foot the bill, right? I mean, like, I think I don't know if anybody's reached out to like Pat Boss or something like that at the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, I think they have to think about their idea
Yeah.
of what deals they want to provide, if they want to provide any at all. I mean, I think maybe we can chip in by helping to get the word out, but obviously our taxpayers might slaughter us if they find out we're spending their
Right.
money giving away free ice cream scoops.
No, I agree. But I
So,
mean,
I think we might want to think about that.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying we couldn't maybe print a banner
oh,
or think
we're
of some
just-
way to get the
Matt,
word
stop
out.
killing my ideas. They're
I don't
just
mean to kill 'em.
ideas.
Right.
Every time I mention
I'm so sorry.
And Miss
It's
Anderson?
just it's called, you know,
I don't
brainstorming. That's
feel
all
like
it
government's a
is.
coupon club. I
Matt,
mean, I
you're
don't
kicked
know.
out.
Like, I'm sorry. I know. Like, I don't
Just
have a
bring
wet
just
blanket
some
today.
ideas.
No, I get what you mean. And I
Yeah.
mean, I know that, like you said, I mean, Pat is always willing to help out. And I think that I'm just trying to attack this early so that way it doesn't come up on us and we're like, you know, oh, what do we do? We have, you know, a couple days until construction's over and we haven't done anything.
And can I just offer one more?
Yeah.
So talking about this, like punching the card or whatever, recalls my Girl Scout days when I had scouting and we did this big program. And if you visited this station, they do it with other things too. But the punch would have to be a certain shape.
Right.
If you give them just a hole, you know what? Everybody's going to be
I
at
know.
home punching those cards and not visiting one day on business. So
Right.
that might be something to really think over
Right.
seriously, yeah.
Right. And I mean, that's again, I mean, everything I feel like is coming back to we need to talk to the businesses and see what would be best for them. But I also know that the Chamber of Commerce has been trying to get more participation from the businesses around to participate in the chamber. So maybe this could even be an incentive for them for, you know, hey, if you're not involved in the chamber, you know, you can get
So
this with
I have
it.
one more question for Mr. Mosby, if I
Yeah.
could. So, Mr. Mosby, in order to contact all of these businesses then, I'm going to assume that you have email addresses for them rather than to spend postage or phone calls? That you could,
Probably go through the chamber initially.
Yeah.
right, or would you ask the Chamber of Commerce to contact them to say,
Partner with the chamber, and
And-
then we would work together.
rather than put that burden on you?
Yeah.
To tell them that we've got some ideas, and at the next Chamber of Commerce meeting, if they could really encourage all business owners to be there. You know what to say.
We'll definitely bring it up. That-
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If you
But we are
just,
coming into that, and then also to Ms. Anderson's point, and I shared this with you all already, but, you know, now it appears that construction season is going to be extended. You want me to talk in your microphone?
Would you please?
Talk in my microphone. Since it appears that now the construction season will be extended because of the fact that Waterworks is coming in and doing theirs first, it is going to be a longer process. So, yes, I would talk, as Mr. Milanovac said, I would reach out to Mickey and the chamber and then work with them to make sure that we get the communication out and then perhaps some solutions. Because I do think that, you know, we kind of have to think 21st century.
Right.
You know, you were bringing up the cards and, you know, I mean, when I was younger, we did that too. But, you know, now that people have smartphones and things like that,
Sure.
there might be some other creative ways that we can
Right.
use those. So.
would you mind, I'm sorry to put a third thing on your list, but would you be able to talk with them in the next month or two and kind of see what would be best for them? What would they like to see us do? What could they use help with? That kind of stuff. Thank you. All right.
So I'm curious, if you're a resident and you live in that construction zone, do you get a half a gallon of ice cream?
No, Matt said no.
I don't know. Ron thought
I just don't think we should buy it.
Because, I mean,
Yeah.
there are residents impacted also.
No, yep.
Trying to get out of
Yeah,
those
I'm
streets.
going to be one of those residents that is infected.
I mean,
I will-
there are residents that live on that street. So, I
Right.
mean, they're going to be
Right.
heavily
I will
impacted
not be
versus
as-
the ones that have to get through it.
Right. Yeah.
Miss Anderson.
Yeah.
There were years ago I worked downtown Cincinnati, like
Mm-hmm.
inner city, and what they did to kind of encourage people to still visit those businesses that were impacted by like sidewalk construction or whatever. You know, sometimes they're scaffolding, cleaning the buildings and whatever, and that sometimes goes on for months at a time. And so there was like it made me think about when she was saying the little discount card, but there's like a scavenger hunt where they like kind of send it out to all the
Oh,
business heads, and then when
yes.
you go at the end of it, there's like a consolation prize. You'd be surprised how many people actually participated.
Yeah.
So maybe that kind of gets some community effort, and
Right.
then you know, you go to those businesses, but it has to be during these times.
Right.
So it had to be during your lunch hour. You can't like order food, and you know, so there's some parameters, and you get a punch, and then so.
So
Yeah.
to
And
Ron's
what-
point,
and
the
what-
21st century, you couldn't do Uber Eats and get the food delivered to your house.
There you go.
You'd have to go.
And what were they what were they scavenging for back in the day? when
They had to
went-
just go to one of the restaurants during that time, so to qualify your little punch, or you know, you're just doing a scavenger hunt to say, check it off the list. I went there, bought this, or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I know like during COVID, a lot of the Cincinnati restaurants did like this gift card program where like if you bought 2 gift cards from different restaurants, you would get like a third gift card free from like a third participating restaurant. Not saying that we used to do that, because I mean a lot of our businesses are more like, you know,
Struggling.
Hair Palace, you know, Subway, barbershops, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that there are lots of things that we could figure out, not just for us to do, but that, you know, we could help the chamber do and CIC and all that jazz. But no, I think that's good. I like that scavenger hunt idea. All right, I will move the rest of the stuff we didn't get to talk about over to next week's agenda, and then the updates from the stuff that we were able to talk about. And we are adjourning just on time at 7:30. Thanks, guys.
All right, we were beginning our finance committee meeting on December 13th, 2021. And I did circulate. I couldn't find my template today. I think it's on my old laptop, and I have a new laptop, so I very haphazardly sent one around earlier today. I hope everybody got it. You'll see it's not loaded with tons of stuff because I'd like to finish the things that are on it, quite frankly.
Does anyone have a hard copy that I can copy?
Of what,
The agenda?
The agenda?
The agenda here, right here.
There you
Extra
go.
one.
Oh,
it's,
Just as I described it.
thank you.
it's loaded with information.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You'll see it as just as lackluster as I described it. All right, so, the first thing on there is to just briefly talk about meeting minutes. So the last, I guess for lack of a better description, the last regular committee meeting, I was in Youngstown, Ohio, so I didn't take the meeting minutes. I'm not sure who did.
You know what, that's on me.
It's
Sorry.
okay. So Mary Jo, you took them that meeting?
Yes.
Okay. And they didn't get circulated, which
They
isn't the
did
end of
not.
the world. And then we had a special meeting, I think, on that following Sunday or Saturday, one of those days. I think it was Sunday. Yeah, it was Sunday afternoon, and I think Marjorie took those. So let's just obviously put a pin in those, and then we'll circulate the meeting minutes, maybe including today's if they're done, and we'll just come back next meeting and get those done, right? Cool, good. So a couple things, and I heard everybody trying to get copies of them. And rather than kind of go through these things one at a time, they're both interrelated. So the first thing is the salary ordinance for our non-classified employees, which includes, just for the people at home that don't know the difference between classified and unclassified. Unclassified are people who are not in a collective bargaining unit, AKA they're not represented by a union. And we have to adjust their salaries separately from the collective bargaining agreements. So that salary ordinance is on the agenda, as well as the law director's contract, which kind of has also a foot in technically an unclassified employee too, because Mr. Dieters is paid as a classified employee. So I know he's had some kind of like general 30,000-foot view conversations about raises and things like that, and another contract for the law director. But personally, I think that now's a good time for all of us to retire to executive session in case there's any things that need to be said about any individual employee, whether they're positive or negative, in any way that might maybe embarrass those employees or make them feel too good about themselves. So we don't want to do either of those things. We would prefer to talk about evaluating our employees in private so they don't feel disparaged by us or otherwise confused. So that's my plan. I will motion for executive session, and hopefully you guys, at least a majority of you, will agree to do it so we can talk about employees in executive session. Other than that, the other thing that's on our to-do list here today is kind of the cleanup stuff that happens at the end of every year. Obviously, that needs to be done by the end of the year. So, I personally think that if we have enough time after executive sessions, we want to talk to Ron a little bit about it and ask him some questions, great. But I think my opinion is we should move with the council to start its readings as soon as possible, and if
Mr.
people have,
Chair,
yeah.
Did we get a cleanup ordinance?
Ron would have emailed it
It's
to
in your
you.
mailbox.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, filed
didn't
with the
get there
bad
yet.
news. I don't know. Actually, it's not bad news, but maybe that's
It's in
why you
there.
missed it.
You
It's
didn't
just
get there
normal
yet.
stuff.
'Cause you came right to
Your
the,
physical mailbox,
Okay.
So
not your email box, your physical mailbox.
I think Ron sent it around today. So those are the three things that are really on our agenda. So,
Mr. Chair, because I feel like we might be in executive session for a while, can I just add one other item? And I only say that because it is time sensitive.
sure.
There is also an agreement or a lawsuit settlement agreement for the national opioid.
Oh,
I don't know a
okay.
whole lot about it. I
Yeah.
skimmed this email.
The class action.
But there's a deadline for cities to file of December 17th.
Is that an opt-in or an opt-out?
I don't know, like I said, I don't know a whole lot about it,
Can I
other
see it?
than, yes, you may. But
Most
if-
class actions are an opt-out, so if you don't do anything, you get it, but maybe
Yeah.
this is an opt-in where if we don't do
I think it's
it-
an opt-in. There's one for Johnson and Johnson, and then there were two different manufacturers. You can get
Yeah.
basically free money.
Well, all I can tell you is if we don't opt in, then we'd have to pay for our own representation to start.
So let's see if
Litigating.
we can opt in. Is it too late? I don't think it is. I think we're close.
Settlement participation agreement by December 17th, 2021.
What is this from?
If communities are not able to act on the request
Opioid
by December
settlement.
17th,
Opioid.
we strongly encourage the adoption of the
Drugs.
agreement at the next scheduled council meeting. Okay. Well, hang on. Do we have, is our current population over 10,000?
No,
No.
9,000 something.
Let's read this paragraph then. It is necessary for all local governments with a population in excess of 10,000 to vote regarding this settlement. So I wonder if we're under 10,000, does that mean we don't have to vote to participate, or does it mean we're not allowed to participate or not able to participate?
I have an idea.
Hmm.
Should give it to our law director.
We should, but at the same point in time, we might only have 4 days left to act.
Are you suggesting that he can't make a decision in 4 days?
in 4 days.
Oh, he can,
We can scan it
but we
to
might
him
want to
tonight,
try
and
to
he'll have it
schedule
tomorrow
a
morning.
meeting, a special meeting to be ready. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the answer is simple. We should get it to law director immediately, and we might see if we can figure out a way to get everybody to get up here like Wednesday or something to just quickly vote on it. If he says that we can to participate, we'd have to suspend readings, so at least 6 of us would probably have to be here, I would think.
Wednesday, I'm not available for sure.
I'm not available any day this week.
Well, you
Even for
are,
15 minutes?
I mean, like, for 15 minutes on Wednesday or Friday.
well, the other thing we would want to ask Mr. Dieters is whether or not it needs official resolution, or if it just can be a council vote directing him to submit an opt-in form or whatever has to be done. But can at least 6 of us get here on Thursday? Because you said you're out Wednesday.
I can make Thursday.
Thursday is the CIC meeting,
What time is that
So you'll already
meeting?
be here.
6:30, I think it starts. Mr. Mosby will know for sure.
Can we be here at 6:15?
I can be here at 6:15.
You have to bring food with you. It's CIC potluck.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying because you wouldn't have time to eat dinner. You're saying because the CIC's having a potluck. I
No,
totally
I mean-
missed that whole
Yeah.
directive.
No, the
Funny
main
thing is,
was
this is
that
our
there's a
entire
feeding
council
them.
right here, but,
meeting and a meeting and a potluck, so I
Gotcha.
don't know.
Could you make it by 6:15? That's really the crux of the issue.
Yeah. Mhm.
Perfect.
Pardon me.
Mhm.
Could we shoot for 6 then? If they're going to have some potluck going here, we want to get in and get out of their way, wouldn't we think at 6?
it's fine. I mean, I'll try to make that work.
Is that too rough for you?
It's not gonna be the greatest thing in the world, but it's important, so I'll try to make it work. Can you do that? Can you do that?
Sure, why not? We'll just take up all of my holiday season with special meetings and special votes.
Hey, man.
It's the
love
most
that.
wonderful time
Now my
of the
committee is on
year.
it.
Well, if anybody couldn't tell by the enthusiasm in Erica's voice, she can certainly be here at 6 p.m. on Thursday evening. So,
Oh, it's a Monday.
how about we do that? We're gonna need a special meeting notice, Ron, for Thursday at 6 p.m.
We're just giving you a whole council
I know,
honey-do
man.
list over there, Mr. Mosby. We should put it on a pink sheet of paper and put hearts all over
I
it.
have
Spray with
pink
your
paper.
perfume,
I'll write it up.
Miss Underwood.
Between sitting in executive session, I'll put pen to paper what the special meeting, the notice needs
Matt,
to say.
if you could write that up tonight, you could shoot it off to him, we could print it here, we can do the board, and then Christian can do the,
Online stuff,
right.
yeah.
And I'll be with him tomorrow night. I don't know how to do a news flash, though. Does that have to be on news flash, or just like an agenda
You mean My City Pocket?
under Civic Plus?
Yeah, we can
I
put
did.
it as it can be a calendar as a council meeting, it'll show up.
You can do that?
What's this?
Should I send a reminder to you or Nicole? How's that work?
No, I actually have it written down. Once I
Okay.
get it from,
Okay.
What's the 16th, December 16, 2021. Council. Okay, I'll finish it. I'll write everything that needs to be written.
Mr. Novak, was
Yeah.
I on your email list for these documents? I don't have them.
I just did government today, which it should go on to everybody on council as well as the mayor and Ron.
Correct. yeah.
I don't have your emails.
Then you might not be in that government.
She is. Everyone on council is in
Can
there.
I see your computer?
Sure. Unless it's just hiding, because I even went out and came back in.
Hmm.
I mean, I closed the window out and came, not the computer, but the window and then.
Did everybody else get it?
Yes, I got it.
Okay.
I can't open up the government.
Yeah, because I certainly didn't send it to anybody specific. I just did forward to government, so I went to everybody.
Right.
It's just quicker to do it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other option is council, but I kind of wanted, Mayor
The other, right.
Nichols and Ron to get it too, so. Okey-doke. I will,
What'd I do?
I'll take care of that special meeting notice. Thanks, Mary Jo, for bringing that forward. And then we'll also, I don't know, I can, I don't know if we can scan that and get it to me and then, or we can
What
somehow.
if I forward you the email?
Oh, did you?
No, I said I can.
Oh, please do, and then I'll forward it to Bill and send him a text
Well,
message.
we can just scan it to Bill tonight on the computer.
Okay. Well, she said she already had it in an email,
Okay.
so we can just forward it to Bill tonight, and I'll send him a text and just say, hey, we need to know, if number one, if we qualify for it, and number two, what we need to do to get it done.
ASAP.
Yeah.
Put that on there, please.
Well, he probably knows more about it than we do from one of his other communities, I'm sure. I would think that Harrison would be part of it as well, for instance. So let's, if we can, I'd like to move that we enter executive session
I'll second.
under 121.22G1 to discuss the compensation of our city employees. All right, Joe seconds. I'm just gonna do a roll
I'll second
call,
it.
even though it's
Mary
council.
Jo, she seconded.
So, just to repeat, just to make sure the meeting minutes are accurate, because you get in trouble if they're not, so.
We all heard you.
Hit it. 121.22 G1 to discuss the compensation of employees.
1 point what?
22,
22 G1?
yep,
Thank you.
discuss the compensation of city employees. Second by Mary Jo. And I'll start. We have to call roll on an executive session, so
Yes.
Ms. Dukestein, yes. Mary
Yes.
Duval? Yes. Erica Underwood? No?
Yes.
Yes. Matt Miller Novak, yes. Mary Jo? Yes. You seconded it. You gonna go yes?
I was
Yes.
waiting to hear my name.
I know. Mary Jo Zorb? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Larry Blythe?
Yes.
Marjorie Anderson?
Yes.
Okay.
This is a test to see if you know all our names.
I know. I got them all. All right, so, guess you can pause that, right? I might just assume staying here. Okay, so we're back from executive session. We need to, need a motion and vote to re-enter regular session.
I motion that we enter back into our regular session.
I second that.
Okay. So we have a motion by Marjorie, and we have a second by Dukes Dean. So let's call roll. So Dukes Dean? Yes?
Yes?
Mary?
Yes.
Okay, me, yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes? Yes? Oh, it's unanimous. We all voted to come back. All right, so we did not take any official action in executive session. We did discuss the employment issues that were on the agenda today. You know, I guess, you know, we don't really officially super vote, but we can kind of get a consensus here. My thought is that we send all of the legislation, the salary ordinance, the law director's contract, as well as the cleanup resolution to regular session of council. Does that sound okay?
No, not until you get that fixed.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'll red line, I am going to red line the contract and send it back to Mr. Dieters. I just don't foresee it to be a problem, so.
Okay,
yeah, the
all
regular
right.
section, I don't really think it's gonna be a problem.
All good.
I mean, technically speaking, he's at will, so we can review him whenever we want. So we're gonna do that, we'll put it in there, I'll send it to him, and, so long as he doesn't, snub at any of that red line, then it should be on council's agenda next Monday. I guess it's a week from today.
Yes, a week from
correct?
today.
Yeah. All right. So for some reason, if it's on the agenda, because I emailed the wrong one, just let me know and we'll make sure it's right. Okay? I guess that's it. We don't
It's
have any
not
other.
it.
What's not?
I don't understand the colors.
What are the colors?
There's colors. What's the red and the blue? And the black?
On the appropriation ordinance?
Ask him. I mean, that has to be passed by the first of the year. My feeling is we move it, I thought we just all agreed to do that. So, I mean, that we
She
move.
can still have questions. Can we just talk about it real quick?
We
2
can.
seconds. Just, what do the color codes mean?
Can't
Or
help
I
what
could
time
just
it
vote
is.
no,
This
because
is
I don't know what I'm
done.
voting on. So, yeah, let's go home. I'm grumpy. I can tell that I'm grumpy. I'm sorry. I'm very grumpy.
So what
Well,
are we gonna do with this? It
Ron,
needs
what's
to
the
be done
difference
right
between the
away.
red and the black? Can you just answer that question
Sure.
tonight?
So in the red, basically, if you're looking at the revenues, excuse me, what you're seeing is where the negative is, what we received was more than what we estimated. So in essence, the bottom line is when you go down to the totals, you see where it says a negative 177,000. That means that we received.
No, I don't see that. Oh, I see it. Okay.
Right, I'm only talking about the revenues.
Yes.
We received 177,000 more than what we projected. In another line under 201, you could see there that we actually estimated more than what we actually received. So that number is a positive number, which means it was less than what we anticipated. So
What?
that number equals the amount of adjustment that we would be making to those revenue lines.
Sorry, what is the red and the black again?
So the red is, means that it's above what we estimated.
Okay.
The black ones would be the below, and then the blue is actually the total, but the darker blue, for example, at the top shows that we received 177,000 more, and then if you're looking at the other ones, the lighter blue ones, that would be what total we received, what we received less. We received less than what we expected.
Use
or
less words.
estimated.
Can I ask a question then? I'm just gonna look at the grass cutting reimbursement, where we were estimated we would be reimbursed $500. we were actually reimbursed $8,240. So that means we're $7,740 to the good. So anytime we
As a
see a red
negative
number,
sign.
it's a good number.
Under revenues, yes.
All right, we ready? I'm tired.
One more question. So I don't understand the rest of it then. What is the next category with the $72,992?
It means that that number means that the total in the 201, the total amount that we received was less than what we estimated for that particular.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Any more questions? I don't want to rush you.
I didn't know you were in charge.
I'm taking the minutes.
I thought, oh, I thought it was Matt's meeting. No, if I have any, I'll just email Ron.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll email all these things to Christian. Everybody, please, I just am extremely busy, and I know, and I email them that I certainly could easily see me sending the wrong law director's contract without the red line. So just everybody double check that for me to make sure I send the right one.
All right.
Oh, sorry, one last thing. I did text message Mr. Dieters. We do have to get this done. It has to be a resolution,
What?
the opiate thing. So, so by Thursday, so, I mean, we have this special meeting notice. I hand wrote it, which works to call the meeting, and then this obviously has to be typed and used to posting and all that, so. Ron, do you want to handle that, or get it to Christian, or how do you want to do this?
Well, Christian's not here, right, so.
Yeah,
Can we just scan it to Christian, and can it be handwritten? I know we've done handwritten before.
it can. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it might be smart to retype it, I guess, or something like that.
How could you get the signatures then if you retype it?
We've already posted handwritten things, and
Yeah.
nobody sued us.
Okay, well, I mean, it's a meeting
It doesn't
notice.
say it has to be typed,
It absolutely does not.
so your handwriting's good.
I'll scan it.
Oh, well, that's,
Wow, that wasn't a judgment.
yeah. I was gonna say. It functions in purposes of the law, but it's not good.
You mean satisfaction?
Yeah. I had a paralegal once that said
Even
I had
that's too
serial
strong a
killer
word.
handwriting, whatever that meant. But, let's just do that. We're good to go, and then we'll all be here, I guess, Thursday at what time?
6:15.
6. No, I thought we agreed on 6.
Yep, they agreed on
What time is on that notice?
Did I forget it? Is that the one thing I ended up forgetting?
You did. It just says Thursday, December 16th. That's it.
You want to hand that back to me? And then I'll,
It's just a extra bag that I use for different things, like when I
yes,
don't want
please
to carry
think of a
my big
place that makes
roller.
sense. Oh, right after the address. At 6, was it 6 o'clock?
6.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. sharp. All right, 6 p.m.
All right, we adjourn?
I think we're good to go.